Hey guys, welcome back. Today's question: can my dog ride sitting or standing up in their cockpit? We absolutely do not want them riding sitting or standing up in the cockpit. The laying down position is much safer, and the cockpit is designed for that reason. So it's going to be safer, it's going to be more comfortable, and it's going to be better for you as the rider in terms of the ride performance of your bike. Let's unpeel this, let's unpackage this a little bit, because there's a lot going on here. When the dog is laying down, they are not fighting for their balance, okay? They're not being stressed by this experience. We want this experience to be entirely sensorial. So they're going to be focused on the sights, the sounds, the smells of riding. But we don't want it to be physical in that sense. We want them to be relaxed, and that's where the laying down comes in. We want the dog to leap off the cockpit at the end of the ride or at a rest break, and to have a bunch of energy, physical energy to burn off, and that you as the rider are going to have to keep a little bit in reserve to play fetch or something at rest breaks. But we don't want the dog spending the whole ride fighting for their balance, which is what happens when they're seated or standing. And then it is a stress, a strain, an exhaustion, and a negative experience for the dog. Now, for the rider, we want that weight as low down as possible. The laying down position achieves that. So the head, the torso, the front paws are all going to be right here where a human passenger would be, right there connected to the motorcycle, and right as the motorcycle is designed to carry that load. And then we've got the lesser weight of the sloping down back and the butt as we move to the rear. So it is better performance for your bike because the weight is distributed in a way that is more appropriate to how the motorcycle was designed. Whereas if that weight is higher, if it's spread out higher and on four paws, it's going to impact the bike's ride performance much more, right? Not only that, but the higher up the dog is seated or standing, the more they are getting thrown around. So again, we go back to the issue of their exhaustion, their stress, but that load is going to have a greater impact on your ability to ride smoothly, safely, and to enjoy the ride with a good, solid ride performance. Because that load's up here getting moved around, it's going to affect your ability to ride more greatly. Now, imagine the dog in the laying down position. The head is here. Generally, that body can shift a little bit so that the dog stays in a comfortable position, lays to one side, lays to the other side. But the only major adjustment that the dog is going to do is the head moving from side to side. And that is a relatively minor effect on your balance and on your ride performance as compared with a large dog sitting or standing up and bringing their center of gravity with them much higher. In addition, in the case of an emergency stop, in the case certainly of a tip over, I mean, these things can happen, and pretending that they can't doesn't get us anywhere. Moreover, in cases where we talk about the materials that a carrier is built out of, these space-age materials, that's great right up until we forget about the design principles of what happens in a crash. So there's several things going on here that are worth considering. You'll see on the forums a lot people talking about, well, in a crash you want the dog to leap off. Well, you want the human to leap off. That's how it's designed to occur, right? We don't want a human seat belted into the motorcycle. We all understand that. But the human is positioned differently and understands the situation of the ride differently than the dog does. The dog is not wearing gear in the case of being thrown off. The dog is not necessarily prepared for the leap-off situation in the case of a crash. And the traffic that may be around in the case of a get-off is not trained to the extent that it sees us at all as motorcyclists. It is certainly not looking for a dog to eject in order to avoid the dog. So the traffic is seeing the large motorcycle, that's the largest object there. It's seeing the human coming off. It's not looking to avoid a dog that would be potentially leaping off into traffic. Whereas if they stay protected, cushioned, and safe within their carrier, they are in a better position to be protected while traffic is avoiding the downed motorcycle. I've like lost the...